Do you know, if there's one thing that I really noticed about myself in the many years that I was housebound with debilitating daily symptoms, is that I loved everyday routine and I hated any routine disruptors. It's almost as if anything that happened within my day, whether that was a sudden email that came in, an unexpected phone call, somebody coming to the house, or me having to go somewhere for an appointment, it would offset this feeling inside of me where I would feel super anxious, super panicky, and I never felt like I had the tolerance to be able to handle any of these situations. And when I would eventually muster the courage to approach some of these events, some of these scenarios, I'd find that it would end up with the same outcome for my body, and that's that my body just wouldn't be able to handle them, and I would end up crashing and becoming symptomatic. Whether that be on the same day or whether that be the following day, it never really mattered because every single thing would always result in the same outcome. Now, when most people hear the term physical exertion or over pushing your body, what they instantly link it to is over exercising. But if you're anywhere near as bad as what I was, you know that physical exertion could be anything from having a conversation with somebody, maybe going from a seated or a lying down position to a standing position, scrolling on a phone, looking at a screen, maybe reading a book, maybe wandering out the house if you're physically able to do that. All of these little things seem to overwhelm your body. Put more simply, what we're dealing with if we're somebody who's in this situation is low resistance or a low tolerance to these everyday scenarios that the majority of humans out there are able to do seamlessly, and they just take all of this stuff for granted. And let me tell you the number one reason why this is occurring. It's because somebody with a chronic condition, their brain and their body is having to work harder in its autopilot mode or its automatic mode than everybody else out there. You see, what ends up happening is that through a combination of physical, chemical or emotional traumas and genetic predispositions, certain centers in our body that help us to decode external sensory information can become damaged. And what this means is that our body is suddenly going to take in inadequate and inaccurate sensory information about our environment, and this is going to happen on an ongoing basis. So this could be things like how we decode gravity, our visual fields, and also positional changes. And seen as this sensory information is taken in by our body on an unconscious and continuous basis, straight away when this situation occurs with your body, you're going to be fighting a losing battle in terms of navigating everyday situations. And of course, if anything comes up in your life on top of your normal daily routine, you're going to see it as a huge stressor. So if you are somebody who has experienced this scenario in your life, and spoiler alert, you probably have, then two fundamental aspects are going to cause your body to crash more than anything. And the first of those things is that your brain is going to use up so much more energy and expel so much more fuel just to interpret its surrounding environment. And this is all because we're having inaccurate sensory information being fed to it on a continuous basis. So suddenly, if you're in an unfamiliar environment or an environment with just more going on, your brain is going to have to use up so much energy just to decode that situation. And what's going to end up happening as a result of this is that our body is going to become deconditioned. Our muscles are going to atrophy, certain organs aren't going to work as hard, and some are going to have to compensate. And that's going to expel so much energy and leave us with such little expendable energy that we're just going to crash whenever we're exposed to any situation. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how to bounce back from this situation and to keep your body from crashing, then I highly advise checking out my Unbeatable Blueprint online course, where I share so much information with you, so much life-changing stuff that is ultimately going to get you from point A to point B in your recovery journey. But back to what I spoke about just a moment ago, and that's that if we're somebody who does want long-term recovery, we want to avoid crashing when experiencing certain events. What we need to do first and foremost is to fine-tune or to recalibrate the sensory division of our peripheral nervous system. What we want to be able to do is deliver more accurate and more adequate amounts of sensory information into our brain at an unconscious level and on an ongoing basis, so that our brain can make sense of our surrounding environment, and in turn that will leave us with so much more expendable energy. And then what you'll find out after you've done this is that your body suddenly offers you the license to be able to explore and to venture out further. And that's where you want to build capacity. You want to add to these levels of energy by exercising, by going out, by walking around. And all of these things over time are going to gradually recondition your body. And let me tell you, as somebody who's been through all of this myself, somebody who was housebound for 7 years and bedbound for 1 year, you cannot ignore the message of this video. Your body will continually crash. It will keep being lethargic in these social settings and these environments, and you'll be forced to recover from these situations. That is, unless you address what I've said in this video. It's a 2-step process. You have to fine-tune the sensory division of your peripheral nervous system, and then you have to build capacity by going out into the external world and gradually reconditioning your body.